Genesis, and we're going to pick up where Joseph, thank you, musicians. Alan, thank you for setting the atmosphere for me. The boys had gone back and they were meeting with their father, and, I was reading last week when Jacob, he was so upset because, of course, Joseph was asking that Benjamin come back with him. And, of course, I was talking about sometimes when Yah gives you something, it's not always for you to broadcast it. And a lot of us learned because it was something that was actually being taught. And a lot of times it's not necessarily that somebody's standing up in front of people teaching you this. What we do is we learn to mimic what we see in the different churches. And with the advent of TV, as you're watching your favorite whatever they go by, you see different things happening in the congregation. And so you bring that back. If you have a place of worship, you bring that back, and somebody right in your midst will see you do something, and then a little while longer, they'll turn around and do the same thing or something similar. And I've said in times past, and I'll continue to say it, a lot of times, he's constantly talking to us, but I'm not saying this as if I was there the day he wrote the Torah. That makes me cringe when I hear other believers speak as if they were on his council. We don't dictate to him. He dictates to us. I don't care what you call yourself. And when I say it bothers me, I'm not talking about something ethereal. I'm realizing I'm in the midst of some dangerous talk. And we remember my mother used to say, when folks start talking bad about people, or Lashon Hara, and other things that we learn. What did she used to say? She used to say, just say, hey, something's come up, and leave. And sometimes, in discussions, you'll hear somebody say something, and sometimes we don't mean it, but sometimes the way it comes off, when I hear people say, well, God don't do that. And I'm like, did you make God? How can you say that? And, I got away from Job, but I really get into Job because Job, he reveals more of who he is and how he deals with us. And it's not always, yes, we're the apple of his eye. But sometimes he's not pleased. As sweet as we are, because I know he did. He said all that he made was good, and we're in the good. But getting back to that, listen, I'm not saying he doesn't give people impressions. Sometimes he may speak to you directly. Sometimes he may give you a dream. But sometimes he may uncover something, or he may reveal something to you, but it's not going to happen tomorrow. Sometimes the things that we're given are, if you continue in my Torah, this will happen. See, that's the part we forget sometimes. And people will say, I know what God told me. And I'm like, hey, if he told you that, I'm not arguing with you. And that's another thing, saints. Why do we argue with people? What a person believes, they believe. It's no need of arguing about it. It really isn't. That's what they believe. But I was going to say, most of what he's speaking to us about, it appears. Because like I said, I wasn't there when he set the rules. And he didn't write the rules and then say, hey, Barry, what do you think of this? See, but a lot of believers, they live like that. Like God got to run everything by them. And what they don't realize is sometimes you make it, when you got that kind of spirit, and I'm using that term because I'm in EWC. When you got that kind of spirit, people don't even want to discuss the scriptures with you. Because your mind is already set. And I'm like, well, in me having to work on my attitude about the attitude that you got. See, so everybody, we're constantly having to work on stuff. And I want to show you even in the story about Joseph, because all of us think, and Joseph, his brothers did. They did him wrong. There's no question about it. But Joseph, and again, y'all love Joseph. And Joseph's daddy loved Joseph. And Joseph loved Joseph. And I'm saying that not throwing shade on Joseph. Because, see, Joseph represents us. Because in going back over, when his brothers first came, he was kind of rough with them. He said, hey, y'all spies. And I'm paraphrasing to save time, because I want some cake. Joseph said, y'all spies. Now, y'all came to check everything out. But look, things had got bad in the land. And there's a scripture in there that, Pharaoh told Joseph, because, he interpreted the dreams and everything, and we all remember that. And he said, hey, Joseph, you run things. So everybody had to bring their monies or whatever to Joseph, and Joseph was the steward for Pharaoh. But before Pharaoh got it, it had to come by Joseph. And this wasn't just for Egypt, this was for everywhere, which is how Jacob was like, hey man, it's kind of lean around here. Get some money, get some corn, let's go down to Egypt to get some corn. And again, folks, keeping in mind, yes, Joseph was a great man, not just a good man. Joseph loved God. Yes, he did. Joseph loved his brothers. Yes, he did. Joseph loved his father. Yes, he did. Just like you and I do. But even in the midst, when God is moving, and particularly when God is moving in a lot of church system settings, we think people somehow stop being human. We think somehow people stop being human and they became these spiritual robots, and they still human. Joseph reacted the way initially. He still loved his brothers, but he remembered what they did. And he was hurt. We were talking Wednesday, and one of the people they were talking about forgiveness. And, it was wonderful, and it really was wonderful. But I will say this, and not to refute what was shared, because what was shared was a vision or a dream. And again, that was between that person and the one that made them and gave it to them. But this thing about forgiveness, yes, you do. You need to be able to forgive. He's okay. You need to be able to forgive. Because we all know, most of us, we've had it drilled in us, if you don't forgive them, God can't forgive you. That's what the system has taught us. I said to you that Joseph loved his brothers, but in the beginning he called them spies. Because see, he loved them, but he remembered how they treated him when he told them about the dreams that the Most High had given him. He shared with them. See, some stuff that he tells us, most of the time, folks, it appears. Well, I'll speak in my life. Most of the time when he getting on me, it's about the stuff I'm doing or the stuff I'm not doing. And it amazes me how sometimes we hear certain things, but when it comes to the stuff that is not so lovely in our lives, we don't hear that. Or we don't hear that as well. And see, sometimes, saints, we got to be careful about where our desires take us. Because, see, sometimes we can think we desire a thing so, and sometimes he might have said, not yet. Or he may have said, he might say the situation, or he might say the person's name, and we'll take that to mean, okay, it's going to happen, I'm going for it. Wait. Learn to wait. And it's nothing wrong with, Father, did I hear you right? See, when we think we heard yes or go forth, we're 100 miles an hour. But when it's not yet or not now, and sometimes, folks, he still loves us and he'll say no. But how can he say no? I'm the apple of your eye. I'm the head and not the tail. I'm above and not beneath. I'm created in your image. Oh my God, Father, I gave a word last week and 50,000 people came to. I said, sometimes, saints, we need to hold in our hearts some of the things that he shares with us. And sometimes, so that we don't get big-headed, sometimes give somebody else a chance. Surely, with all in creation, I cannot believe I'm the only one that hears correctly from the Most High. 44. I'm going to read it out of the King James. No. I'm going to read another translation. 44. Then he ordered the manager of his household. He said, fill the men's packs with food as much as they can carry and put each man's money just inside his pack and put my goblet, the silver one, just inside the pack of the youngest, along with his grain money. He did what Joseph told him to do. Now, of course, by quick review, when they first came, Benjamin wasn't with them. And that's what prompted me to say to the saints, sometimes we tell too much. And I don't know if you know this or not, but even a lot of times in business, if a person is getting ready to start a business, and I had this happen to me one time, a gentleman that I had gone into business with was starting another business, and he wanted to tell me about it, but he asked me would I sign a disclosure agreement. And I told him, yeah, I can keep my mouth shut. I'll sign it. See, sometimes we need to just zip it. And I'm not being mean when I say that, because sometimes in our telling, we tell too much and we give the opposition an opportunity to harpoon your opportunity. And then you're wondering, Father, why that didn't work? I know that's what you told me to do, but did he tell you to tell everybody? Sometimes, even among friends, it's best to keep it quiet and tell them after it's done. Because some people, well-meaning, will try to talk you out of it. Getting back to this. Now, keep in mind, Joseph loves his brothers. So if he loves his brothers, why is he putting that silver goblet in Benjamin's sack? Joseph was hurt because he knew he had favor with Yah, but he was still human. See, Joseph is a type and shadow of us. Yah has blessed all of us in here many a days, but we still do little stuff. We still got it in. We've had some high times. And we've had some low thoughts and low attitudes. So he had him put that silver goblet in Benjamin's thing. And when he called them spies, he still loved them, but he remembered what they did. And I would encourage everybody, do more study on forgiveness. I'm not saying, yes, we are supposed to forgive. Please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. But dig a little deeper. Dig a little deeper about this forgiveness thing. And not from a Christian system vantage point, but from Torah's vantage point. And it will help you in your personal life. It'll help us all. At daybreak, the men were sent off with their donkeys. But before they were far from the city, Joseph said to his manager, now he told them, hey, y'all go on back to your dad. He still loves his brothers now. But I'm trying to show us. At daybreak, the men were sent off with their donkeys, but before they were far from the city, Joseph said to his manager, "Up, go after the men, and when you overtake them, say to them, 'Why have you repaid good with evil?'" Now, we just read earlier, Joseph was the one that told, hey, put the money in there, but put that silver cup in Benjamin's sack. See, Benjamin was the new Joseph to Jacob. Oh, Barry, believers don't get jealous. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And we can be petty sometimes. Yes, we can. I didn't say yes, you can. I say yes, we can. Now, all of this, remember now, God smiled on Joseph. 13 years he was in that prison. And of course, the way we were taught, well, you just forgive and praise the Lord. You know. Life is hard sometimes, saints. Up, go after the men, and when you overtake them, say to them, "Why have you repaid good with evil? Isn't this the goblet my Lord drinks from? Indeed, the one he uses for divination." That's when he go in his prayer closet. I know we know about that. Because we put on our super people cape, super Christian cape. Yes, all of that is necessary. What you have done is evil. So he caught up with them and said those words to them. They replied, "Why does my Lord speak this way? Heaven forbid that we should do such a thing." Isn't that what we do? We do little stuff sometimes, and we know it kind of irked the person that did. What did I do that? God knows my heart. It's my birthday. Remember that. And let me say this. I love you. And I hope you still love me. What you have done is evil. So he caught up with them and said those words to them. They replied, "Why does my Lord speak this way? Heaven forbid that we should do such a thing. Why, the money we found inside our packs, we brought back to you from the land of Canaan. So how would we steal silver or gold from your Lord's house? Whichever one of us," oh, here we go. This is why I said, don't talk too much. Because see, sometimes we hang ourselves by the words of our own tongue. I mean, man, sometimes we won't even let a person get stuff out before we ready to fire back at them with something. I'm like, sometimes we just need to chill. I know it's irritating and it'll get to you, but don't always feel like you got a rapid fire reply. Sometimes just let it. See, sometimes if we let the person that said something ignorant, let those words simmer, they themselves will realize that was an idiotic thing to say. But when you trade their insult back with another insult, now you got two people insulting each other. Just like it's been taught. It's kind of hard to argue when the person's not arguing back. For those of you that know the Bible left and right, it said what? A soft answer turn away wrath. Not give them as good as you get. And I know, particularly nowadays in this modern society, everybody's got to say their piece. And to that I would say, in every situation, folks, think about God's order. Not what society is now saying. In fact, somebody selling T-shirts, and it's so appropriate. They say follow God, not culture. I would say follow Yah and Torah and not culture. Because society's culture has everything flipped around. Oh, now listen what they said. Whichever one of us. Now, these are brothers now. Why would you put your brother's life on the line? Which comes back to what I was trying to share with us last week. A lot of times, saints, again, all of us, the apple of his eye and all of that. And every time, most of the time when we do something that's not wise, we justify it by saying, it's my life. And I said, regardless, for the people that love you, we breaking their heart. I'm serious. For your family members that love you, we're breaking their heart. I mean, I wonder what in the world my family would think of me if all of a sudden on Monday, because it's my birthday, I put on a blonde wig and a dress. I'm just, it's my life. Yeah, well, hopefully you and Greg will grab a hold of me and get me straight. But see, listen. And I know a lot of times in family situations, some tough stuff can be said, some tough stuff can be done. I know that, and I'm not making light of that, but I'm trying to drive home everything you do reflects on your bloodline. You got to remember that. Yes, it's your life. And a lot of times, if we had just thought about how is this going to reflect on the rest of the people that are in my bloodline. Did I always think that way? No. But I'll tell you, unfortunately, my teenage years, I really, for a while, until reality smacked me in the face, when I was a teenager, I thought more of my friends, or those that I thought were my friends, for a while than I did my own brothers. Now, I mean, you do something to them, I'm still going to fight, but I'd rather have hung out with my friends who didn't know any more than I did. And I can tell you when I was in school, and again, I'm telling you now, I'm not saying I was not a Boy Scout. I was not a Boy Scout. But some things, I was like, oh, no, I just can't be with that. And it wasn't that I was so good. And yes, I had given my life, yes. And that didn't have anything to do with it then. I'm being honest. I was more concerned. I'm like, man, if something like this ever get back, I don't want to have to face my folks. So I didn't do it. But don't get me wrong, folks. Now, I got in plenty trouble. So I'm not saying that like, oh, my God, he just went through college and he just... Stop all that stuff. Folks, what I'm getting at is, listen, even when y'all move in your life, you're still human. If he wanted a robot, he would have created a robot. And I'm not saying that to say we got a license to sin. I'm not saying that. He's got everything in place for when we do miss the mark, we can get back on track. But in living Torah out in life, you begin to see stuff. And you begin to do more than just be able to quote scriptures. And I'm not knocking that. But how much of your quoting are you doing? How much of your quoting are you living? Because in the living, it helps you circumvent some of the challenges that we're faced with. The instructions are to be not only looked at, studied, but they're to be implemented. If I know how to change a flat tire, and I'm going to pull the manual out, and I'm going to read the manual. I can recite that whole page. And I never changed the tire. What good is me knowing how to change the tire? Because see, again, the system has almost kind of like taught us like, well, once you learn the word, all of this stuff just going to magically start happening. No, it's not. The word works as you work the word. I don't know which one of the brothers said this. He said, whichever one of us the goblets is found with, let him be put to death. These are brothers. Now, can you imagine Jacob whichever one said that, Jacob would have smacked him upside the head. And he would say, son, who are you to put one of your brother's lives at stake? We talk too much. And that's why, and we've done this too. My child would never. My spouse would never. My friends would never. And those are just examples. I'm not saying anything. Don't read anything into that. My parents would never. Almost the same kind of thing. But except, of course, you're not saying let them be put to death, but you're saying far be it from them. They would never do this. Anytime the Most High himself had to sit there and talk to Moses because he was so fed up with us, that same one that said you the apple of his eye, And Moses had to plead with him, no, don't kill him, don't kill him. Start all over. No, don't do that, don't do that. And then a lot of the Hebraic writings that said from time to time, they would go back and forth. They your people. No, they your people. Well, everybody know that we his people. Whichever one of us the goblet is found with, let him be put to death, and the rest of us will be my Lord's slaves. Now, you know why that's so key? Because Joseph told him about one of them dreams where he said, hey, one day y'all going to be bowing down to me, and that just made them madder. Joseph was the youngest, and he's talking junk to his older brothers, and most guys that got older brothers, you know the code. The younger don't be telling their older nothing, usually. Unless you get in a situation like I am where the younger one is almost twice as big as me now. But see, he got a heart. He'll have mercy on me now. But I didn't always have mercy on him coming up. Said, let him be put to death, and the rest of us will be my Lord's slaves. Oh, my gosh. And, of course, the reply was, listen to this, fine, let it be as you have said. See, even there's some scriptures that say the way we're going to be judged when we hear our own words. That's why we got to be careful how we be coming out of our mouth to people, even when they are what we call wrong. See, this thing is kind of tricky. All of us, we're going to say so many words, and maybe I should shut up because I don't know how many words I got left. But I'm trying to show you that, yes, y'all moves in our lives, but we still human. And I'm not saying that trying to give you a pass to miss the mark. If we go after Torah, we may not miss the mark. As opposed to putting all of our faith and time in a system that has taught us how to go after things, that has taught us how to self-appoint ourselves, that has showed us how to grow our ministry. And I'm not throwing shade. I'm trying to show you the difference between system and Torah. There is a difference. Fine, let it be as you have said. Whichever one is found with will be my slave, but the rest of you will be blameless. So a little bit of mercy was being extended. See, I don't know which brother it was, and they didn't say which brother. In that translation, it didn't say which brother said it. So Joseph responded, I still think through his interpreter, okay, it'll be as you said, except the one that we find the goblet in. He gonna be my slave, which means he gonna stay with me. The rest of you will be blameless. Y'all going back to your dad. Knowing that it was Benjamin. Joseph knew it was Benjamin. The same Joseph that y'all smiled on. That loved his brothers. Can you imagine what's going on in their heads and hearts? Folks, we do some of the same thing to each other today. And people, as we always say, people in the world, they try to do that to us every day, every chance they get. They want to get us in a situation to where we start, I'm the righteousness of God. We start quoting scripture and no, that can't be me. I'm an honest person. I'm just. Just be quiet. See, what Torah also teaches, well, let me put it this way. The system teaches you to verbally, they use the word proclaim. Torah teaches you to be about it. The system teaches you to talk about it. There's a difference. And I mean, Joseph was saying, hey, you said this. I don't know if some of you might remember sometimes when there was a teaching going on or something, particularly on a Wednesday or probably even on a Friday when they used to meet, and somebody may see things a little different than what Pop was teaching. And if you all ever notice, he would always allow you to say whatever you wanted to say. And then after you said it, and it was wrong, it's two left shoes, you know what he would say? He wouldn't say, you dummy. He would just say, you have said it. He would say, you have said it. And usually if the person was of a certain maturity level, they realize, I missed that one. I mean, because some saints will argue you down. They don't care who you are. And yes, God, y'all still love them too. Then he said, then each hurried to put his pack down on the ground, and each one opened his pack. He searched, starting with the oldest and ending with the youngest. Now, I'm trying to show you something, folks. Joseph knew where the goblet was. He knew where the goblet was. He knew who had it because he told his servant, put it in Benjamin's sack. Because if don't none of them come back, my father want Benjamin to come back. I mean, the father wanted all of them to come back, but he knew the one that replaced me. Because, see, Joseph realized his father, his brothers told him he was eaten by lions or something. Some wild animals tore him apart. So his father thought he was dead. But Joseph loved his brothers. He did, he loved them. But they hurt him. Did he forgive him? Yes, he forgave him. But he didn't forget. And sometimes, we'll say, well, if you can't forget it, then you really didn't forgive them. That's why I told you, do more word study in what is forgiveness, according to Yah, not according to culture. Sometimes the hurt that is administered will make you stronger so you don't repeat. Putting yourself in a vulnerable situation. It's not that I'm going to tell you I forgave you, but I still remember, and every time I see you, no, I'm not talking about that. You know, and that person know, and the Most High know, when the apology or the coming together is genuine, you're not going to repeat that same thing. You're going to discuss it. They're going to say what they had to say. And they're going to believe that you accept, when you say you forgive them, they're going to believe it. Especially if they do more than just say, I'm sorry. Because see, there's in repenting, there's some other steps that the system just teach you. Oh, just, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I stole $100 from Donnie. Donnie, I'm so sorry. Oh, man, I'm so sorry. Ain't saying nothing about giving him his money back. So am I really sorry? See, I'm trying to show you something here. Man, that system has done a number on us. The one that it is found in will be my slave, but the rest of you will be blameless. Then they each turned to put back down on the ground the sack, and each one opened his pack. He searched, starting with the oldest and ending with the youngest, and the goblet was found in the pack belonging to Benjamin. Now, Joseph orchestrated this whole thing. And again, I'm not throwing shit. Joseph was human. You know, we act like sometimes, what are you talking about? You told me, you say you belong to God, and, how can you ever, I belong to God, but I'm still flesh and blood. As if we don't never make another mistake. That's crazy, folks. At this, they tore their clothes from grief. Then each man loaded up his donkey and returned to the city. Judah and his brothers arrived at Joseph's house. He was still there, and they fell down on the ground. And Joseph said to them, "How could you do such a thing? Don't you know that a man such as myself can learn the truth by divination? Don't you know the Most High talked to me?" And that's another thing. Some people have actually gotten upset with some leaders because God didn't tell that leader something about their personal situation. They got an attitude with you. Didn't God tell you? No, he didn't. I mean, you really think you that much of a hot shot? Well, I just knew you looked my way and I just knew you knew. No, I might have had gas. See, but the system teach us that kind of stuff. And that's how a lot of weird stuff start happening. And then it gets all mixed in with the real aspects of the Most High. And that's when people start getting confused. Because then a lot of people say, I know what I saw. I know what I heard. How in the world did he get all of that out of Joseph? All of this, remember, they were people. Just like you and I, they did some wonderful things. And of course, when that Shekinah's on them, you're going to do the right thing. But it's going to lift and you're going to return to yourself. Each one of us will return to ourselves in time. I see it, Reg. There's nothing we can say to my Lord. How can we speak? There's no way we can clear ourselves. God has revealed your servant's guilt. So here we are, my Lord's slaves, both we and also the one in whose possession the crop was found. See, now the brothers knew, won't know where in the world they could go back to their father without Benjamin. Because remember, last week, basically he was saying, listen, and I'm paraphrasing, I now done lost one son. Now y'all want to take Benjamin. But then, in a manner of real faith, not what the system taught us faith was, he basically said, take Benjamin with you. The way it is, if I lose my son, so be it. And I said, that's faith. That's faith. When Abraham took Isaac up, that's faith. Not if I pray a certain way or I pray a certain whatever. The system taught us wrong. The system taught us inaccurately. I shouldn't say wrong. Wrong is too harsh. About faith. All of that's in here. How could you do such a thing? Don't you know a man such as myself can learn the truth by divination? There's nothing we can say, my Lord. How can we speak? There's no way we can clear ourselves. God has revealed your servant's guilt. So here we are, my Lord, slaves, both we and also the one in whose possession the cup was found. But he replied, heaven forbid that I should act in such a way. See, now, finally, by now, what we would say in Christian circles, well, the Holy Spirit got to working on it. That's what we would say. But Joseph knew even when he was doing that stuff, like I told you, he loved his brothers. But he spent 13 years in prison. They put him in a pit and left him for dead. They told his father some wild animals tore him up. But I know the way the system, well, you need to just forgive. You just need to forgive. God will take care of all of that. And I'm not saying that he can't. He can. But you're dealing with people. Here's another thing that we do. The system teaches us, if I'm drowning and Greg saved me, and only Greg can answer this, so you don't have to answer, just think about it. How would Greg feel if I came in here, and we all in church and we having a high time, and I said, I just want to thank God that he delivered me out of the water, and Greg's sitting right there, still wet. See, I want you to see something, because this is what we do. How plastic of me is it to get up there and stand before you and I owe it all to God. No. Thank you, Greg. Thank you. When you're hungry and somebody give you a sandwich, thank the person. You can thank God, but thank the person too, because they didn't have to do it. Y'all speaks to a lot of people, and sometimes we, even the believers, we tell them no, because for some of us, our maturity level only goes so far as to who it is. I don't like him. He's arrogant. She's pompous. And they may be. But Torah teaches if it's within your power to do so, to do good, do it. He didn't say if you like them. He didn't say if you agree with them. He didn't even say if they go to your church. See, that's what Torah teaches. I see it. I'm going to close. But we're going to pick this up. I mean, we won't next week. I know everybody will be here next week because Donnie teaches. And that's all right. Again, I'm just having fun, folks. I'm just having fun. But what I'm trying to convey, folks, is yes, we're to go after the Most High with all that we can. But don't take out of context, I'm in the world, but I'm not of the world. Because I'm telling you, if you don't pay your house note, or you don't pay your apartment rent, or you don't pay your car note, they're going to take your car. And the person that's hooking your car, he might be a believer or she might be a believer too. They just doing their job. And I'm not making fun of people that are going after God in a way that other people may not. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying we're still here and we're going to be here until he calls us out of here. And when they talk about occupy till he come, it's like Donnie was saying earlier. See, too many of us as believers, we leave stuff for those other folks, they just rambunctious. They just, yeah, but the earth, all of what you see is here for you. Why are we letting other people do stuff? Torah allows you to live a higher quality of life. His teachings and instructions are for us to have a high quality of life while being a servant to your brothers and sisters. God bless you. May heaven smile upon you. Pastor Hoard, will you come close us out? I need to sit down and get ready for some cake.